Hey everybody, welcome to the Mark Hope Show. And today is the February 3rd, 2026 show. And this is just going to be the kidney show. And we are going to talk about my kidney uh, journey and what happened, and the fact that I had a transplant. Uh, a year ago today. And my wonderful son-in-law gave me his kidney. And I, I just can't believe that something that wonderful happened to me. And the honest feeling that I have is, that somebody as wonderful as him thought enough about me to do that. And that's humbling, and I'll forever be talking about that. But my whole family was with me through the whole journey, and my wife was the first one that got approved to give me her kidney, and we matched. And this is a story of chosen family and regular family. And I love my regular family. However, if in your life you make sure that you embrace the family that God gives you after He gives you original family. And I'm not saying one's better than the other or whatever, but they're powerful, and the people make it powerful. And if you think about it, when you marry, you become, two strangers become family. That is the same thing when you're adopting kids, or you've got step-kids running around, or you've got other things going on. So welcome people into your life that are good people, and you're never going to be sorry about that. um, Real briefly, I was plagued with insulin resistant diabetes, and I had it for a long time. And one of the things that I think we're learning is that it's the viscous fat inside your rib cage that causes this insulin resistant diabetes. And I'm only going to speak about what I know is in my personal experience, and whatever, people, I'm not a doctor. I'm absolutely not a doctor. But I know that I was on loads and loads and loads of insulin. And the thing that it did to me was I kept gaining weight. And this is me before, and I've always been a big guy. My whole life, I've been a big guy. And I think it has to do a lot with the food that we have in America, and all that kind of thing. But I was always kind of battling my weight. I would go from 200, maybe I was 195 in middle school, ninth grade. And I never had a weight with, they didn't have a two in front of it my whole life. And then I got this insulin resistant diabetes, and I was eating like hamburger with sharp cheddar cheese on it, and I was pulling 300s when I test my blood sugar. And was I perfect? No. But was I trying really hard and not getting results? Yeah. And we did it all. I mean, the Victoza, the long-term insulin, the stuff. And finally, I went to my endo and I said, hey, I'm reading about stuff that they're doing in Spain. And they're doing this Roux-en-Y bypass, and that's the stomach bowel shortening surgery, and that is curing these diabetic patients. And my kidney function was going down and down and down, and we were battling that whole thing. And I was walking probably 2 to 6 miles every day, most days. And the the thing, and you've probably seen these people with the guys with the big barrel chested, barrel stomach, and it's not tubby little wiggly fat, it's hard belly. That's the sign of that insulin resistant diabetes taking over. And my dad had a shape like that, and I don't remember him battling diabetes. If he did, it was unchecked, and he had a lot of health problems. But anyway, I said, Doc, let's give me that surgery. I want to do everything that I can do in my power to do it. And so I went and got that surgery, and I think it's probably 5 years ago now, something like that, maybe 6. But I did the Roux-en-Y surgery, and if you're researching that, I do not believe that the sleeve surgery does anything close to what the Roux-en-Y bypass surgery does, and you guys can look up the difference. I Roux-en-Y bypass surgery as it relates to diabetes cessation. And the sleeve surgery just takes your stomach and makes it into a tube, and it makes it smaller, but it doesn't shorten the bowel, which is what you need to happen. You need less caloric absorption so that your body gets into this mode of pulling the sugars out of the blood. Because until it has that calorie malabsorption factor, it won't put your system back to where it needs to be, or at the very least, it's not easy. I mean, maybe you could do it with some of these longer term fasting these people are doing, but if you really need to do something that saves you from what I went through, I would look into this procedure earlier before your kidneys fail you. And if you get an opportunity to have gastric bypass surgery, I believe the sleeve is ineffective. And I think if you look at the results, the stomach grows again, you've got the full intestine, you've got, and there's problems with having a shortened bowel, but I would much rather deal with what I'm dealing with that than allow what happened to me happen to me. But look that up on your own, and if somebody wants me to do a show on just that, and you could see the GPT chat is saying why the Roux-en-Y bypass improves diabetes so fast. It's a reset, and it works. It really does work. And I went into the hospital on probably A1C of 10, 11, maybe something like that. And before I went into the hospital at 271, and that's probably where I am in this picture. And that I went from 235 to 271 in about 4 months. And that's when I went and got to the endocrinologist. And I said, bro, we need to address this. I'm doing everything I can, and I'm going to start losing limbs here. And, diabetes, as you guys know, does a lot of damage to eyes and blood vessels and all kinds of stuff. So we got aggressive with it, and then um, we ended up with this look. And I 4 days before I lost any weight, even, and it's a massive weight loser too, this Roux-en-Y bypass. But before I lost the weight, I was off all diabetes medications. I was off the shots, I was off the pills, I was off the long-acting insulin, I was off the short-acting insulin, and I was not diabetic anymore. Um, it was unbelievable. It cured that problem. Now, later I learned that there's something to do with kidney failure and masking some of that diabetes, and I'm not going to go into that on this show right now, but I was, relatively um, healthy at that point. We started the kidney failure journey um, around that time, and I started to go to a nephrologist to deal with those levels of kidney failure. And there's stages that you go through on kidney failure, and the list 5 stages of kidney failure. The thing that happens when you go into your doctor and your kidneys are starting to fail, um, they'll tell you you're spilling proteins when you do the urine test. That's how I found out. I said, "Oh, you're spilling all these proteins. You need to go to this nephrologist and blah blah blah." And I would just demand that when you go into your doctor that you want to be tested for this stuff, because I didn't know anything was going on except for I had this diabetes and now I'm curing that, and I thought I was, you know, home free. I lost all this weight. I was healthy. I was exercising, doing all the stuff I needed to do. And then they're saying, "Oh, you're spilling proteins." I'm like, "Oh, whatever. What does that mean?" And then we started this whole new journey. But if you're looking this up, and if anybody wants me to share this chat with them, just put your text message in whatever thing we're doing, whether this is YouTube or Substack or wherever, and I'll send you the actual chat, and then you can take that chat and go nuts with it. But I also put some of the transcripts in the show notes of the show. But anybody that wants to send me an email at mark@markhope.com, just say, February 3rd, chat link, and I'll just send you the whole thing that I'm working on. But the EGFR has the indications of what you're doing with your kidney failure, and stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. I stayed at stage 4 for probably 2 years, and I got on the transplant list, you know, probably year and a half, 2 years before my dialysis. And the doctor that I was dealing with at that time in Colorado said, "You're doing good, and we're probably underreporting your EGFR. We need to do a 24-hour urine," and it reported it a little bit higher. They said, "Oh, you're at 40." A lot of people do that. And I had some symptoms of the kidney failure, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. But the idea was that we would get me on the transplant list and I would get a transplant and skip dialysis altogether. And that's what we were looking for. And I was thinking that the transplant was a cure to the diabetes. The diabetes caused kidney failure, and it's not. They're telling me now that it's a treatment for my malady that I have, that is kidney renal failure that I have, and it's not a cure, I guess. But that is something I'm gonna live with for my whole life, and it's better than the dialysis, and my son-in-law's kidney has given me a new lease on life, and I don't want to get too scattered on this, but the kidney that I got from Brandon has really helped me to move on from where I was. So those are some pictures of me kind of out and about, going through this kidney failure, but I'm living with it. And the dialysis is the next stage of what happened. And my GFR just fell through the roof. I had moved to Oklahoma, and I had moved to Oklahoma for two different reasons, but my daughter went to OSU or OU med school, and she's going to be mortified that I accidentally said OSU, but OU med school, and we have some family here, and we were moving from Denver, and the difference between those two lifestyles is large, and so we wanted to kind of slow down after I sold my business, and we were kind of going into a different stage in life. I wasn't really able to work like I was after we sold the business. I wasn't about going to get a new job and starting all that kind of stuff. I wasn't disabled at that point, but I was also not performing at a really high level as we were managing the renal failure. And then one day I went into the doctor, and they said, "That's it. I mean, you need to go to the hospital. You're getting and I'm going to warn you that some of these photos, although not terrible, show pictures of me having a tube out of my stomach, and I think I have a picture in here that shows something about my scar where they put the kidney in me. So if you're squeamish, that may come up. So 3, 2, 1, get off the video, because there's going to be that kind of thing that happens, just for the educational piece. But the two different types of dialysis that we have list a graphic about hemodialysis and peritoneal dialysis and the difference. And hemodialysis is where they do the blood thing, and you go into the center, and you do what this guy's doing right here. He's doing hemodialysis in center. And that means you go in for every 2 or 3 days and you do the blood cleansing through the machine. And I actually went to the treatment center after, I was fully into dialysis and I was going to get something checked. And I checked and I said, yeah, this is Mark. I need to give, appointment or whatever I don't know what it was. But she said to me, the lady says to me, do you produce urine? And I was like, well, yeah. I mean, doesn't everybody? Oh, apparently no. So, there's God has fresh horrors for us as we go along and we take our growth. And I view the pain that you go through as growth, but some of this stuff is pretty surprising. And so apparently there's people that are in renal failure to the point that they don't urinate anymore, which is um, pretty crazy. Um, I just paused this thing to go to the bathroom, so I don't know exactly where I was, but you know how this show is. We do not do a bunch of editing or whatever. This is about substance on this show, and so try to stand on circumstance like we're a professional movie creator like Tony Fowle or something like that. Anyways, these people don't pee. And they have to watch their intake because this is the only way that they get fluids off. So since you can't pee, the machine takes it off, and it could be a big deal. And there's a bunch of other creators that do this kidney content, and you could listen to them about that. If you're dealing with this kind of thing, you could talk to them about the different kind of stuff. But um, I opted to not do the blood dialysis, and I did this peritoneal dialysis. And what that is that's the at-home dialysis that you hear about, and it's less harsh on the body. You go in 3 or 4 hours in the center, and it just jams everything out of your body. Well, at night, I um, would hook up. There's some pills, and those are binders that I'm taking, those big ones. What that means is your phosphorus in your body raises up, and that's one of the danger signals that you have. And if you don't take these binders that bind the phosphorus and send it through your system, you have the poisons. I mean, when you get like me and you were down to like zero or, you know, 2% kidney function or 4% or whatever, your body can't take care of these toxins. It's amazing what the kidneys do for you. But my skin was expelling toxins from my body. It was like little pieces of rice would come out of my pores, and I'd accidentally, in my sleep, I'd scratch them. I had these creams, and it was absolutely would make you want to jump out a window. And my sheets were bloody every night from these poisons trying to get out of your body, and that abated after dialysis. But every time I ate, I had to take these binders. And you know, when people talk about their colonoscopy prep, which is really nothing compared to the benefit that you get of not dying from colon cancer, but people don't like the colon prep and having to clean your system out. That was my life for a year and a half. I absolutely just had running fluids going through my bowels as it was trying to wash out all this stuff. I mean, it was unbelievable. And so I'm trying to think of things in this video that I could tell people what, to watch out for themselves. And mainly I want everybody to um, decide that they're going to not have to go where I went with this, get the Roux-en-Y earlier and do all those other things and watch your kidney health and avoid that if whatever, however you can. But so I'm doing peritoneal dialysis, like this thing shows. And I this is Big Papa with my little uh, port that I had, which sucked because I had to be very careful in the shower. I had to be very, very careful. I wasn't allowed to go swimming. I could swim in my own pool, but I couldn't swim in a regular pool or go to a steam room or whatever. And this whole kidney journey is about cleanliness. I mean, you absolutely need to wear a mask and stay away from people. I mean, you don't want to get infections at this stage of the game. What you really want to avoid is um, peritonitis, peritoneal infection. And what happens with the fluid, let me get rid of this. Um, um, the peritoneal dialysis that I did, and this is the over the night thing. And luckily, I thought I was going to have to be in a spare room away from my wife. And, I did that for a couple of nights. And she said, honey, I want you in bed with me. And let's set up the machine in the bedroom and we'll deal with it. And we did, and it was a good thing. And I would go get ready to do whatever I'm going to do, and I had a tube that ran to the bathroom outside. The pool bathroom was there. The cord wasn't long enough to make it to our master bathroom, but we set it up a different way. And I would plug in, and essentially it takes these bags of solution. I had 2 bags, and it did 1.5 a night and 5 cycles. And what that means is it fills up your belly with this sugar solution, and it draws the toxins into the peritoneum and it has them dwell. And then once they're full of the bad stuff, then it pushes it out, and then you fill and dwell. And like I said, mine did it 5 times a night over a 9-hour period. And I would get up, and you have to go through this whole process and make sure that your cleanliness is, you don't get a peritoneal infection and you don't let your cap get off of there. I mean, you could watch your own video about that. But then I would put my cap up and clean my wound and retape everything down, and then I was good to go. Besides being just absolutely and totally just out of it. I think it said something in stage 4 here. Yeah, okay, stage 4. Nausea, shortness of breath, fluid overload, brain fog, all those things happened. Then stage 5 is what we've been just talking about. But fatigue is huge. I mean, absolutely tired all the time. There were days that I would get up, I would have breakfast in our garden room with my wife, and 20 minutes, and I'd say, honey, I gotta go lay down on the couch. And I would go sleep for 3 or 4 hours. And it was horrific. But I mean, I was at least functioning, you know. I suggest that for people because at least you have, some kind of a life, and you're getting most of your kidney stuff done. Um, there's my port, and the nurse is putting that in there. And this is her doing some training for us. And you have to go get your labs taken a lot. And this is me in the DOL lab. I got to be best friends with the ladies that are in the DLO of Norman, and that's the Quest Labs in Norman. wonderful people. And I'll do a whole nother video some other time about how wonderful everybody's been to me here in Oklahoma and all my doctors and everything. But this is a video just telling you guys kind of my journey, but mainly focusing on my family and how wonderful they are. And after I explain some of this stuff, I'm going to get into more of the fun things about that. But I'm, celebrating, and this is the way I'm celebrating my year anniversary with my new kidney. So if you're learning anything, that's extra. This is interesting. Look at all these supplies. I had a guy dropping off my supplies for my dialysis machine, but in a pallet once a month, and it was unbelievable. This is like a quarter of my monthly supply. This is just one, what wasn't fitting in the other place that we had it. And look at this insulin. See that box of insulin? There's 1, 2, 3, 4. My diabetes came back. I beat diabetes. My kidneys failed. The diabetes came back, and I got a blood test, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? Well, my A1C went up to 11, and it's because they were putting all this sugar water in my body, and while it was leaching the poisons out, it gave me all this sugar and gave me diabetes again. So now I got this whole diabetes thing going on again. And crazy. Anyways, the supplies it's unbelievable, the supplies. And you can do a look on them. But that's my dialysis machine that I hooked up to, and my little tray where I did all my stuff. And this is a picture of me, I think, going into Rouen-Y, I think. Anyways, I'm in the hospital a lot, and my whole trunk of my body just looks like I was been in a knife fight. I mean, they did a lot with my torso. I don't know what that did in the past life, but so I think, yeah, I think that's it on the dialysis chapter. Okay, so the the thing that happened to me was that my wife qualified to give me a kidney, and she was my match, and she is my soulmate and my life match, and I love her very much. And it doesn't surprise me that God gave me somebody that could help me in that way, and not only help me in that way, but want to help me in that way. And we were trying to get the transplant before I went on dialysis, and we were at Porter in Denver. It's one of the reasons we went to Oklahoma, because you can get in two zones, you can be on two tracks. So we got on a separate track in Oklahoma, and thank God we did, because that's where it ended up happening for me, was in Oklahoma. But we were going to get it done at Porter, but then there was some kind of medical foul up where they, it was insurance companies and whatever, and there was a shutdown, and one of the surgeons moved or whatever, and the transplant center, was jacking around. And my absolute mission, ever since it started happening to me, and my kidneys started to fail, is I wanted to make sure that I was the very best transplant candidate that I could be. So with all my strength that I had, I tried to, lower my sugars, and make sure that my blood pressure, the Roux-en-Y took care of the sugars for me before I got on the dialysis bags. So that, I try to really watch that, keep my weight low to be ready for the transplant surgery and work on my blood pressure. Well, one of the things that kidney failure does for you is it raises your blood pressure. So I'm working on that. I'm trying to keep all my numbers in line and do everything that I need to do. And while I'm in that zone, and we're on the list, and they vote every Wednesday. And we were at the stage where Luann was approved, and they were voting for us every Wednesday. And we were being told, you're there, you're gonna get it. And like I said, they jacked around enough to where we could have had them just do it and we would have been there. But they waited, and Luann had a seizure. And she's been battling with these epileptic seizures and getting better. And they're tuning in the medication. And she's going to get through her journey the way I did mine. But Luann's no longer a candidate, so she's not, and I always said, look, if there's a 2% chance of anything harming you, I'm not going to allow you to help me. And I didn't want her to be harmed by helping me. And I'm sure there's always some level of stuff, but that was my thought process. I want to make sure. And if you're doing a live donor situation, um, the cadaver donor that you get on the list for, I mean, that could be 5 years, depending. And that's another reason that we're in Oklahoma is Denver's a big metropolis and there's a longer list. So if you're trying to get a deceased donor kidney and not a live donor, the wait was significantly longer if you don't bring your own live donor. And I did a series of videos on YouTube. It's on this channel in the kidney section. I did a series on using multimedia to reach out to the general public to see about the people that know you or know of you, and would they put in their name to get matched. And I'll tell a little thing about that in a minute. But so Luann's out, and she was really disappointed. I, she was always worried about me getting a kidney, and I said, I know God's going to give me a kidney. The way He's given me everything in life, my beautiful daughters, my grandkids, my friends that I have, everybody in my life. I wake up every morning and I try to say, God, what can I do to help somebody today through you? And I listen. I try to, maybe it's the lady at the grocery store. She needs somebody to help push her cart, or well, whatever it is. But that's my outlook. So, anyways, they don't allow you to know who is volunteering their kidney. Both of those things are separate. There's a donee coordinator and a donor coordinator, and they don't mix that kind of stuff. So you don't know who's on your list. You don't know how many people are. So they say, well, Luann's out, and so we need to start testing the next person on the list. And the bad thing is, let's say you have 5 people and they all want to get tested for you. And they don't just send them all in. I mean, they send them a packet, and you do the things for your doctor, and you drop off the blood and urine or whatever. And after you're a pre-match, then they go through all the medical tests on both the donor and the recipient and everything to make sure not only is everybody healthy, but are they matching. But the preliminary matching, you would think, well, if I got a bunch of people, let's test them all and see who's the best one to get tested first. Then we'll know who could be next, who could be next. But they don't allow that. They don't do it that way. They allow you to have one person have a test kit at a time, and then the next one goes, and the next one gets tested. And so my next match, and I'm going to say this, and I never say this, but my stepdaughter, Katie, and Lindsay are not my biological. And the thing that's important to that is all this matching. Luann wasn't biological to me, but very close match. And Katie, my little Katie, she's my youngest, and she and after that, like I said, I never say that again. They're my girls, and that's it. And anybody that knows me probably doesn't know that they weren't my girls, but they are my girls. It's just biologically, it's interesting. But unbeknownst to me, Katie got tested, and there was a lot of people that got tested, and I found that out, and I wasn't really supposed to find that out, but Katie matched, and she was going to be my little one that gave me a kidney. And if it seems like I'm going to cry, I'm gonna be amazed if I get through this without it. But um, I got a call from the coordinator, and she said, Katie's the match. And we're not allowed to really say how many people that you have in line that are being tested, that have sent in packets and volunteered and all that. But I guess it was a lot. And I'm just grateful for that. And I actually talked to Katie about it. And there's so many people working on, at the DaVita Dialysis Center, all these doctors. I'm at a team of probably 40 people, doctors and everybody else, working on me every month as their full-time job. And I told Katie in a conversation I had with her, I said, Katie, I just don't understand why, I'm one person. Why is all this effort being, you know, put towards me? I mean, I'm going to really have to do something wonderful to pay all this love back. And she corrected me, which she does sometimes because I need it from my daughter. But she said, Big Papa, have you ever thought maybe you already did that and you're getting paid back? And that was a wonderful thing that she said to me. And so the coordinator said, look, Katie's match. However, you've got other people in line and her kidney is small. It will be a good match, but the flow is not going to be as good because she's a little woman and you're larger man. And so the actual functioning of the size of the kidney is, we want to take a look. And without a bunch of dramatics, my son-in-law, who is my son, and he's not me biologically, but he matches. And the God thing about that whole thing is there's a father and son surgical team at Integris at the Zudi Center that do these, operations. The son takes it out and the dad puts it in, or vice versa. And that's how it happened with us. The son took it out of Brandon and gave it to the dad and put it in me. And I'm going to kind of show some pictures of surgery day. But the whole point is I've been supported by so many people that I can't even name them all. But my immediate family rescued me to the point that, I can't even speak on it. It's just such a wonderful thing. And I'm going to show some pictures of surgery day. And this is on a monitor screen in my room before I go into surgery. And that is Brandon's kidney that I have in me right now, right here. And no, right here. But if you don't know it, the they don't take out your bad kidneys. They leave them in you. So I have three, two dead ones and one super good one from Brandon. And so I don't know who I'm flipping off here, but I think somebody made a comment to me. I don't know what it was, but we still have our sense of humor. That's the kid, and I think that's after the surgery when we were getting our exercise and stuff. That could be right before, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. My girls gave me this shirt, and Brandon has the matching shirt, and we wore those into our operation. And it was a lot of really powerful stuff. And anyways, let me get through. I bought this shirt because the joke now is, Brandon is my favorite child. And everyone knows Big Bob doesn't have favorites, but giving me a kidney, that's pretty big. And Brandon and I were really super close and still are, but we played a lot of poker together. We went to the World Series of Poker, and he was a wonderful, wonderful dad to my grandkids. And he took over where, the dad of my granddaughter kind of pieced out on that. And Brandon was dating Katie and decided that they were going to get married. And he got down on his hands and knees with this little girl. I think she was 3 years old. And said, "Hey, I'm going to be your daddy." And he signed papers, and the original dad was not responsible for anything as long as he stayed out of the picture while they raised her and she's her dad. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And they are this close today. The wonderful thing is he takes over that little life and saves her and makes sure that she's good. And then when I need help, he gives me a kidney. So if you think you have the best son in the world, you're probably second to mine. But anyways, super great guy. And so what else is going on surgery day? This was for my brothers in my motorcycle club. We do charity for fallen officers and widows of officers that are hurt or eliminated in the line of duty. And they were all very supportive of me. And I was sending them a message that I was gonna make it, and they were praying for me, and I was letting them know that I was thinking about them. And this is me and Brandon. He's going in first, and he doesn't like all this attention either, and I'll probably get some blowback for this YouTube video, but he's a wonderful guy. he knows that I gotta say it, and that I love him, and he wanted everything really low key, and I respect that to a point, but wonderful thing that happened to me. And this is Big Papa that's getting ready to go under, and now they're taking me back. That is the thing that happened right there. And I was never worried, I was never ever worried, and I knew that God and my family was taking care of me. And it's every day is subject to approval. You could walk out of your house tonight and it could be all over for you, but I want you to fight. I want you to fight. I was fighting every time, and I was at my lowest. I had to learn how to walk again. I didn't have any balance. I'm just starting to get that back. And I'm going to fight for every minute that I can get, every single minute that I can get. It doesn't mean anything's guaranteed, but I'm not worried, because after I get done here, I know where I'm going, and I'm okay with that. I'm going to meet up with some old friends and get a new mission. And I mean, I'm secure in what's going on, but I'm going here. I'm going. They're going to cut me open. So this is before two. This is me getting ready, because the flipping off picture you saw was tubes, everything. And this is where the kidney went in. And god dang, that's so that's that. And I don't know, the next set I have, this is my wonderful wife. And she is just my rock. And this is me and Brandon. We were out riding motorcycles together, and we stopped off this bakery that was a wonderful place. She made this bakery. She had a developmentally disabled son named Justin, and he was going through a program, and she bought, because that high school program was ending, so she started this gluten-free bakery so Justin would have a place to go every day after that. Wonderful woman. And I did an interview with her on this show, and it's in the archives somewhere. But Wave the Grain Bakery. Anyways, we rode over there and made a donation and did some, bought some things for some people that we were doing some charity work with. But, just always been a great kid. And I think I was getting weak there, because I dropped my Harley one day and I just wasn't strong enough, and he helped me. And I don't think he realized how sick I was. And, he helped me pick my bike up. Hey, are you okay? And, it's like, well, I'm getting a little dizzy. I don't know. Um, Here's him taking somebody's poker chips. He's a Bills fan. And that's the Mark Hope Show. And I'm very encouraged. And a year later, I'm kind of trying to learn some new things on the computer, because that's always been my passion with my lovely, lovely wife, Luann. And it's a year, today. And I have really been avoiding, infection. I'm on these immunosuppressant drugs that make my immune system not work the way it's supposed to. So I have to be careful of germs and different things like that. And I think as it goes further along, it's better and better. But I never go on a cruise, probably, because that's pretty dangerous. And if I get sick, it could attack my kidney and it could reject. And then all of this whole story that I told you guys about this last 5 years, gets disrupted. And I don't want to see that happen. I'll probably never play in the World Series of Poker at that level ever again, with 3,000 players from 30 different countries, and poker players are not good. you know, a lot of them about washing their hands and you're touching the chips. I play in some small games with some family, people that are family friends to me, the friends that have become my family. And I play in some country club games with people that know me. They know I'm sick. They've been taking care of me while I've been trying to socialize a little bit, playing poker when I was sick. Um, but that's a safer environment for me. So for me, I really, really need to um, enjoy everything that I can do, you know. And I'm working every day now, trying to get stronger. I can walk now without tripping and falling. And there was a lot of times, I just didn't have it when I was going through all this. But that my testimony for anybody that's lasted this long on watching this video, my testimony is that if I can fight and get through this with my limited amount of grit and my limited amount of skills and whatever I have, if you choose to fight, you will absolutely make it. And I joined a bunch of groups, and I try to help people that are going through what I went through, on a daily basis. And if you have anybody that's going through this and you feel like if they talk to me, reach out to me. I will give you my personal number and I will talk to anybody that wants to know anything about how to get through this and get to the other side, because that's really the point of all of it, is to win, is to get through and win. And all the money in the world is meaningless. My riches are absolutely in my family. My little granddaughter is graduating from college this year. My grandson came out and played top golf with me, and I actually got to swing the club a little bit. My muscles cramped because I'm emerging and having a little bit of activity. But I have so many wonderful people in my life to be thankful for. And my two daughters, my son-in-law obviously is an okay guy, and my grandkids and friends, and we're at a year. So I hope to spend my time helping people that need help. And that's where I spend, you know, all the time that I can after I take care of my wife. She is my first priority. And I do everything that I can do to take care of her while she's struggling with her seizures. And we go out every day because she can't drive, and she's the type that likes to have independence. And I told her, I said, hey, we're gonna get through this, and we will. And that's another story that we'll tell. But I will definitely do a video next year at when we hit the 2 year mark. But I'm going to just kind of end it and say, if if nobody's told you that they love you today, I love you. And there isn't a thing you can do about that. And I'll see you on the other side.